Bonjour! Bonjour! Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour! It's the Jamie and Steven Show! The one you've been waiting for. Oh, it's Beauty and the Beast week! Hi, Steven!
Hi, Jamie.
I'm
Speak
really...
French, do you?
I know. Well, you know, it's set in France.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have one of those where you're very much like, oh, and this is the French bit, and this is that, and I'm sat here drinking a cup of tea.
Well, those 18 months on Duolingo is going to come in handy now doing this episode.
I will leave that with you. When you said bonjour, I was going to be like, you're right.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast. Mm-hmm. This is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And
sorry, just drinking my tea. That I did say I was doing it.
Not trying to give anything away, but there's a reason that it's a big one. Like most people, this one is our fave.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. You know,
there's
no point waiting to the end for the score because
yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Just before we start, though, I did notice that you copped out on saying the title of our podcast fully.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The Jamie and Steven Show, Let's Talk Movies, Music and Magic.
See, everyone out there thinks that it's me that can't say it.
It is you that can't say it.
Yeah, I know, but I have to remind you every time to say it. Just saying.
Yes. Full title.
Full title.
Yeah.
So, is this Beauty and the Beast or The Beauty and the Beast?
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. There's no
That's
the.
why we're on the title.
Yeah, there's no the. Yeah, definitely not other. Yeah, so the 30th classic, our third film in the Renaissance era, and probably the one that sets the bar.
Fourth.
You're looking at me with a funny face.
Yeah, fourth, Oliver and Company.
No, it's not it's not counted though. I know we would count it. We would count it.
Well, I think it's our impression that, you know,
okay.
Most, as
so
Bob said. It's very keen. That,
yeah, we would start the Renaissance from Oliver, but
yeah,
it's...
I suppose you can't change what other people think.
I know.
No.
But yeah, so this is the one that, set the bar for what's to come. And it is the peak of Disney.
At this point.
Yeah, at this point.
So,
it's like, nobody thought that they were going to, especially because of Rescuers.
Yeah, Rescuers.
It didn't get the reception, thanks to Katzenberg, but it did not get the reception that they hoped with it being this, you know, adventure film and a boy film. And obviously Little Mermaid was a huge success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they thought this was going to be as big.
This film, one of the things, and we'll learn this as we go into the 90s, was they kind of was like, no, it's going to be one of those good films.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to... we're going to have the same success as we had with The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Then what happened after this film, it was almost, right, love stories are what we're doing.
Yeah.
This is what we do. This is what we're successful with.
Yeah.
And actually...
And musicals.
Yeah. And when you look at the rest of the 90s, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And it's love story.
Uh-huh. And a musical. Yeah.
So, though it sets the bar, it sets it technically as well as conceptually.
Yeah, and story. Yeah.
It's actually just cementing everything that The Little Mermaid did.
Yeah.
And Oliver and Company.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, so, Beauty and the Beast, released in 1991. The 30th classic, it's an hour and 24 minutes, so we're now at where Disney keep their films at a minimum. I don't think we get to an hour and a quarter again now.
Which is weird, because when I watched this earlier, I was a bit like, how short is this film?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe it was the end. And actually, Luke, my partner, was watching it, and he was reading a book at the same time while I was watching the film.
Uh-huh.
And he even said, are you at this point already?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, yeah. He was like, is this like an hour film or something? So I think that well, we'll get onto that with the opinion bits.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, IMDb synopsis. Okay. A prince cursed to spend his days as a hideous monster sets out to regain his humanity by earning a young woman's love.
Yeah. Oh,
Ish.
yeah.
I don't think he sets out.
No.
Doesn't even look like he's been trying.
No. Well, he definitely hasn't been trying.
It's Lumiere and Cogsworth sets out.
I tell you what, those servants, they are selfish. I noticed this earlier when Belle's kind of like riding out, you know, when she goes to Papa.
Oh, yeah.
And the beast is like thinking, they're all kind of like, oh,
poor us.
We're not going to be human again. It's like, hang on a minute, you've got a teenager on a horse in the middle of a forest with wolves that she has been attacked by previously. In the snow because her dad's dying.
Yeah.
And you're a bit like...
Poor us.
Our
We're going to be stuck as objects.
Has anyone thought about me?
So what was your synopsis?
Belle decides that Gaston is not hairy enough to fall in love with.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Every last inch of him is covered in hair, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Apart from his face.
Yeah, yeah.
His arms, his hands. So yeah, that was mine. I was trying to... Because when people take the mickey out of this film, it's very like the Stockholm Syndrome or fall in love with your kidnapper and stuff like that. And it's a bit like, well, it's not that.
Yeah.
There's a whole sequence where they
genuinely change,
their attitudes.
Yeah.
And then that's when they become...
Yeah. It's not as if she's in that prison.
Yeah, she's not
and she's been falling in love with him while locked up.
Yeah, no.
It's,
And I'm not being funny or anything, but it's not like she's guarded.
No.
It's pretty much an open prison.
Yeah.
Like,
she's allowed to go outside in the grounds. Well, she can go anywhere but the West Wing.
Yeah. And the doors are not locked.
No.
Like, she doesn't unlock that door to get out or steal a key or anything. She literally turns the handle and she's off.
Yeah.
And clearly Philippe the horse is not tied up or anything.
He's there.
Like, why would that horse survive?
Yeah.
Because if you've got a prisoner for life...
Yeah.
You won't keep the horse.
No.
Because I don't see any other food in that place. Like, so, you know, I don't think she's a prisoner. Whereas Maurice was a prisoner.
Yeah.
For like the hour that he spends there.
Yeah. It's got 8 stars on IMDb. This is the most, the highest rating out of all the films we've done so far.
I wonder where it loses those 2 stars.
I know. I didn't look.
No. Well,
because all it would take, unfortunately, is a few people to give it 1 or 2 stars to bring that down. Again, it depends on how many people's left reviews. I didn't look how many. It could be 10,000, it could be 10 million.
I mean, 8 out of 10 is a really good score.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm just biased. I just thought that we'd be talking...
I
don't think
9
we'd be
point
talking,
something, but no.
I didn't think
8.
it was going to be 10 because you're always going to get someone and go, well, it's a popular film, so I'm going to give it 1.
Yeah. And as we know, more people are more likely to give a negative review than a positive review. So it could well be that in later years, people have given it slightly negative, more negative or more critical reviews in the last few years because people are like that now.
Yeah.
They don't have anything nice to say anymore.
No. Almost like you with the Jungle Book.
I know. Right, let's move on because I've avoided trolls so far from that one. Okay, so directors. So we've got 2. Funny enough, I always thought Don Hahn was the director, but he was the producer. Yes. But it's because he's the one that talks about this film the most. He's always done the one on the special features. He's the one that, you know, anything to do with an anniversary. He's the one that talks on behalf of the cast and crew.
Yeah.
You know, he does a lot of stuff now on Disney Plus. He did the Waking Sleeping Beauty, but yeah, I always thought he was one of the directors, but he's not. So the directors are Gary Truesdale and Kirk Wise, and both of them go on to direct Hunchback, again another French film,
Yes.
Atlantis,
Okay.
The Lost Empire, and then they separately do other things. So Kirk Wise then was the American director of Spirited Away.
Okay.
So he would direct the American crew for that when it was released, because it's Studio Ghibli. And Gary Truesdale goes on to work at DreamWorks. So he does all the Shrek shorts and the Kung Fu Panda shorts.
So it's a bit downhill from here, then.
Yeah.
I mean, so before they came onto Beauty and the Beast, I wish I could remember the title.
There were story artists and art developers and...
I on the Disney Park ride in Epcot, which is the Cranium.
Okay.
Something Cranium. I wish I could remember what it was. But it's a little bit like People in the Brain.
Uh-huh.
So you know that kind of story trope where it's your brain has got little, like Inside Out.
Yeah.
That's the emotions, but in the brain one controls the legs, one's your thoughts and crying and whatnot. They did something along those lines, and they produced, I think it was a 6-minute film kind of thing with animation, and they were then given this.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a bit before there, so as we know about the Gong Show.
Oh, yeah.
Based on that, basically anyone could pitch an idea or anything like that, and basically Disney created a list. The series of film ideas was given to a guy called Jim Cox, and this included Beauty and the Beast, and he was like, I want that one.
Okay.
And he literally just said, I'll do that. So we went away and he wrote an initial treatment and submitted it through to Eisner and other people.
Uh-huh.
And basically Eisner said, let's get some artists, let's get a story reel going.
Okay.
Let's pitch this.
Yeah.
So the presentation was ran, and your friend Katzenberg said, no, we're not doing this.
Oh, shocker.
It's not the direction the studio wants to go with films. And I must admit, reading the synopsis, it's a lot darker, and it's... Do you know what? It's very reminiscent of kind of other things. I think it was based on Cinderella more than Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Because there was, all in all, there's 3 different storylines to this, 3 different versions of this film. And one of the versions has Beauty and the Beast as Cinderella, basically. So there were 2 older sisters who were not very nice to Belle.
Okay.
She has an aunt which takes on the role of Gaston,
wanting
Belle to be married off to a gentleman somewhere.
Right.
And Belle is really shy, timid, doesn't want to kind of do anything, and she's kind of put in that Cinderella position where it's, you know, others drive her storyline for her, and she ends up falling in love with the Beast.
Okay.
Who's a gentleman from a local estate who just everyone knows, but he's a beast, he's ugly.
Okay.
And it's him that Belle falls in love with.
Oh.
Rather than like the handsome
man,
the
if
prince.
it wasn't so similar to Cinderella,
It's...
that sounds okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at this point, when it was being made, when that was pitched, you kind of didn't have The Little Mermaid out.
No.
So your last 2 princess films, apart from The Black Cauldron, and if you count Robin Hood, was Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella.
Yeah.
So out of your 3 princess films that have been released, you're remaking one of them.
Yeah.
So I can understand why he made that decision.
Yeah.
It was then moved on to a second screenplay by Jen Leroy. Not a lot is known about this one, but I did find out that this includes wizards, body swappers, and an evil prince. So the evil prince, I don't know how it fits in, but I'm assuming the evil prince is the Beast.
Okay.
but may not be. So at one point would have used his magical power as the wizard to swap, to make sharks and vultures into his henchmen.
Okay.
That's not Beauty and the Beast.
No.
Weirdly, I do think that could work as a film.
Yeah, but just not as Beauty and the
But
Beast.
just not as Beauty and the Beast. And not as a Disney film.
No.
But as a Tim Burton,
Yeah.
I think that would really...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, if you're listening,
Which he is.
there's
we know
an
he
idea.
is.
Of course he is. God, Tim and Bob
Tim and
Iger,
Bob,
they're like
just sat
our
there.
top, they're our fans.
Yeah, you know.
They're our top listeners.
Yeah. The only reason their names don't show up on our followers is because, like, affidavits.
Of course, yeah.
We can't show favouritism. And at that point, at that screenplay, the animation director of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Richard Williams, was asked to direct. He was busy on his own film, which I can't remember what that film was now, but I've never heard of it in any way. It was... He may have made a mistake. But he suggested his friend Richard Purdom.
Okay.
At that point, a animation team got together, including Andreas Deja, Mel Shaw, Glenn Keane. This is where all those names come up.
Yeah.
Don Hahn, Tom Cito, Gene Gilmore, Hans Bacher. They basically went to London to develop a screenplay alongside Richard Purdom.
Okay.
And Katzenberg scrapped that. So we watched it. It was too dry. It was too boring.
Okay.
It just didn't work.
Okay.
Anyone who had the original Blu-ray of this can watch that original show reel.
Okay. Have you watched it?
I have. It's not Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
I wouldn't have enjoyed that film.
Okay.
So it was the right thing to do. It was very much what Disney later did, but no songs.
Right.
This was not going to be a musical.
Okay.
And it was then that Katzenberg kind of went a little bit more into depth to how this film was being made.
Okay.
Because he had faith in the idea.
Uh-huh.
He had faith in the people. But what it was happening just wasn't working.
Okay.
So they brought on the directors that you mentioned. They brought in Alan Menken and Howard Ashman.
Because of The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid. Around this time, The Little Mermaid was doing its thing.
Yeah.
And he basically brought in, and I have the name a little bit later on, I think it's Wolverman. It's a female writer, Linda Rovington, and she was brought in, and basically it's because he was watching this Beauty and the Beast versions that had been presented in all three of those versions. Belle was basically just the same as Ariel.
Yeah.
It was a very sexist character.
Yeah.
In a way where it's damsel in distress. Oh, where is me? I'm going to change my life to fall in love because I want a prince.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was Katzenberg that said, no, I want a more stronger, empowered
Wow.
female. We're going to look at that. We mentioned feminist, which is considered a dirty word. It's associated with very butch women and things. It's not a dirty word. What it represents is, I think, why Belle becomes one of those favourite princesses for so many young girls at this era and beyond.
Yeah.
And basically it was because of Katzenberg. And then, that's where it kind of all started.
Well, I did look up the writers of the film, and they're on IMDb. There's a lot listed.
There is a lot.
They're credited for
they're
different types
things.
of writing.
Yeah.
So in regards to the story, the names that stuck out, there was 4 that stuck out to me. Brenda Chapman.
Okay.
Now she goes on to do Brave.
We can't hold that against her.
No, that is a good film, Stephen. Chris Sanders, who goes on to do Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
He's a part of the story team. Bernie Mattinson.
You're going to have to... I've gone brain dead.
Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Oh, yes.
He directed that. So, and he was like up there in the
Yeah.
80s. So he was the one that all the younger animators would have been looking up to, because he was like an older guy. He wasn't he wasn't part of the Nine Old Men,
No.
but he was in between them and the, Glenn Kane and Andreas Deha. And then Joe Ranft, which I didn't write. I forgot but his name we'll see.
Yeah, it will pop up. So basically,
He's got glasses. You will recognise him.
Yeah, so around this time, there was a lot of, so Jeffrey Katzenberg, when you make a movie, you do a screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
The screenplay is written down. You're told you're not allowed to change that.
Yeah, because he came from the live action films.
Because he came from live action. You have a director that will alter it.
He couldn't get his head around the storyboarding.
No. And with this, it was a storyboard. So you end up having the storyboard artists and Linda Wolverton.
Yeah.
They basically had arguments all the time.
Yeah.
And then basically it was... I'm going to forget the name. The head of animation at this point.
Wasn't that... Oh, was it Schneider?
Yes.
Yeah.
He basically said, okay, well, I know how to resolve this. Basically, you're going to be sat in the same office. And they basically just...
Hashed it out,
got to the point where they were basically linking up, and Linda started to get involved more with the storyboarding and learnt it in a way where Katzenberg never did. And they merged. So each of the scenes was a collaboration of all of those different people. So when it comes to crediting them, you've got to include them all. Of them.
Yeah.
So that's why you.
Well, one of my facts is to do with the writing. So we'll get to that because it's the first.
Yes.
And it's to do with what you've just said. But yes, we'll get to that later. Cast.
Yes.
Yeah. Now I've just done the main cast.
Yeah, I did as well because this is a big cast.
Yeah.
Even for a Disney animated film, because normally you get a core of 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And they do other voices as well.
Yeah. And then we've got facts about. I've got some like, oh well, so and so nearly got the role or was approached and
just before we go on the cast,
so
for the first time, it was Howard Ashman and Alan Menken basically said, how we're going to cast this is to do a Broadway style casting.
Yeah.
So they went to New York.
Yeah.
They were on a stage.
Uh-huh.
And people came up and did an audition just as they would if this was a stage play.
Musical, yeah.
And oh my God, was that the right decision?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, you have got the voices.
Uh-huh.
And I think this probably goes back to Pat Carroll in
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid, because her voice, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not going to diss that. But she could sing.
Yeah.
But because of the difficulty of Poor Unfortunate Souls, so she's never sung that song from beginning to end.
Right, so she has to do it in bits.
She had to do it in bits.
Okay.
And then they pieced it together.
Okay.
Whereas in this film,
yeah,
every single person in this cast that has a singing part is a singer.
One of my favourite clips in the making of, and it's also in the Waking Sleeping Beauty documentary as well, is when Ashman is in the recording studio with Lansbury and Jerry Orbach, so Lumiere and Mrs. Potts, and they're like making notes on their... I love that because Ashman's trying to direct just like he would if they were performing this on the stage. Like, I want it to be more this and more. And obviously Jerry Orbach chooses to be authentic and does a French voice. And he's the only actor that does it. And he's so good at it as well. And he's obviously, trying to keep the French accent while singing as well.
I mean, when you see different clips, especially in the Howard documentary, and then there's other documentaries as well, and we touched on it with Little Mermaid, he was there. He kind of performed everything. He did the demos. Going back to Pat Carroll, basically she was told to do it as he had done it, because he was doing it the way it should be done.
Yeah.
Not in a mean way.
No.
But in a way where it's like, when I... This word.
Yeah.
So jumping forward to Beauty and the Beast, there is a clip and it's used so many times, but it's Howard saying to Paige O'Hara, it's that opening of Belle, Quiet Village.
Yeah.
And basically he tells her how to say it.
Yeah.
And it's...
Yeah.
It's the second word of the song.
I know.
And she's there like, okay, like this.
Yeah. But like, just like
this.
How he directs Jodie Benson.
Yep.
There's on Little Mermaid, there's a song, and he's describing, this has just happened, and you're so you need to.
Which not that I have any experience like any of these, but when I've done stage shows way back in my youth, I've
just done them in my bedroom.
What?
Yeah, in front of the mirror with my hairbrush.
Oh, no. I'm talking about actual, ironically, Little Shop of Horrors, which is a...
Ashford and Menken, yeah.
You do get where someone will say, well, this line is conveying this. This is the most important line of the scene. And it's something trivial.
Yeah.
But you've got to do it in a way where it's emphasising and... with the character of Belle, especially, one of the reasons why Paige O'Hara was cast, because she sang like Judy Garland.
Right.
So that kind of Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
Quiet Village.
Yeah.
It is that.
Okay.
They are doing Dorothy.
Yeah.
In Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. Yeah, funny, I've got a fact about that as well. Oh.
Well, shall we jump in with the cast?
Yes, let's get to the cast.
Into it then.
Right, so I'm going to start with the Beast.
With the Beast?
Yeah. I know, should have started with Beauty. We'll start with Beauty.
Start with Beauty.
Okay.
We've just spoke about.
I know. So Belle, Paige O'Hara. Right, so this was her debut, her film debut.
Yeah.
And she doesn't do...
She's a Broadway
Yeah,
star.
she's Broadway.
She's Broadway.
But she does do something in Enchanted. She's like a extra or...
Right.
Yeah.
So she is the woman where I realised they were adding princess actresses.
Right, okay.
So in the film...
I mean, I knew Jodie Benson straight away. Spotted her by a mile.
But it was almost like, okay, I get that. But when I saw this, I then... looked for the others,
right,
because
okay.
Pocahontas is in there.
Right, okay. I'm going to watch that again.
Yeah, I think we should do one on that, because it is a love letter to those.
Princesses, yeah.
But she plays a character called Angela.
Okay.
And it's in one of those American soaps. I believe it's like one of the Mexican soaps.
Yes,
and it's
now
on
I
the
know.
TV, and she's dressed, she's got the hair like tied up, and it's just a very small cameo, but do you know what? It's her. And yeah.
Is that what he's watching in the motel?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yes.
So,
Okay, but she has done all of Belle's voice work.
Up to 2011.
Oh.
Yeah, so little known fact. So because she's carried on voicing...
Is it because her voice has maybe changed?
So, yeah.
Because it does change when you get older.
We're talking 20 odd years since she voiced Belle. And her voice has changed.
Wow.
And because of that, unfortunately I didn't write down the name, but she's started to be voiced by another actress. However, it is Paige O'Hara who voices Belle in Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Right, okay.
And she also does the voice of Belle in Once Upon a Studio.
Okay.
So she is still linked with the character
but
when it's represented. That.
But it might be old things that they've maybe been able to reuse.
No.
Oh, she did go in there.
Yeah,
okay.
she did the voice. Yeah, and So she was made a Disney legend as well. She's continued with that,
Uh-huh.
but in 2011 it was a case
Okay.
of, do you know what?
Yeah.
For these little bits,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not. And she's supposedly fine with this.
Okay.
I you know, unless,
Well, I know
if she wants
she's.
to pop on and
Yeah.
like, let us know.
I don't know if she does a cameo in the live action,
No.
but in the celebration,
Yes.
with Josh Groban and
But you've
her,
read it twice.
Yeah.
It's
she
my
makes an
favourite.
appearance in that,
Yes.
and
She's the bookseller.
yeah.
Yeah.
And another fact about her that not a lot of people will know is she is an artist.
Yes.
She paints, and she's had a stall at the art festival at Epcot.
Disney Fine Arts.
Yeah,
So
and she does her own Beauty and the Beast paintings.
I have a feeling, because it's done by Disney Fine Art, that's the thing. Isn't the new Disney hotel at Paris done by the Disney Fine Art? I'm going to have to research that, because if that's the case,
Yeah,
then
I'm not sure.
yeah, because I'm sure there's something.
But I saw a
researched
clip,
it, so, but
and I can't remember what it was for. And it was for a special something, and it was you saw her creating the painting that she was going to feature in her stall. And I can't remember what it was for. Like, it's not on Disney Plus or anything like that. And this was like before COVID.
But then there's a lot of things, you know, we might have been on a DVD extra.
Yeah, it might have been.
Because as we know, they're
Yeah.
not on Disney.
I mean, she's not changed.
No, she hasn't.
Apart from maybe her hair is sometimes shorter now and again. Or
Yeah.
I think it's back long.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
she's not changed.
No. It's just her voice that's
Yeah,
changed.
I know, which does happen. I mean, we notice that with singers like
Yeah.
Shania Twain and, you know, Celine Dion. Like, they're in, it's deeper.
I wonder if she's a smoker.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Because in my mind, when I hear the voices next to each other, it's almost a smoker's
Maybe.
difference. But then
Don't
she's
know.
a Broadway star.
I know, so I
whether
doubt
she
it. I
would.
doubt she would be.
No. She did in the live action, though.
Oh!
She offered to help Emma Watson perform Belle.
Okay.
So as a
she's
mentor,
not seen in the
she's
film,
not
but
seen-
she was a mentor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
and that to me,
Yeah,
just-
that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably get onto the live action a little bit later. But it's nice that she did have that link.
Yeah,
Because I didn't know that until researching it for this
Okay.
podcast.
right.
So before
I never
then,
knew that.
It annoyed me that there were no cameos like that.
Yeah, I know.
It did annoy me.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we'll get onto that.
Yes, yeah. Right, the Beast.
Do I have anything on thingy? No, I've got two things. As I say, she made a Disney legend, and we mentioned her as well. Guess who was considered for the role of Belle?
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say, I've actually got facts about the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Jodie Benson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently she was put in, she
Yeah.
literally was told, right, you're going to this film. But their voices are different. Apparently, Ashman wanted a more European sounding voice.
Yeah.
So I think because when you hear Ariel singing, it's like you can hear the
Yeah.
American. You can
Yeah.
hear the American.
It's.
The way that certain words and letters are pronounced.
I
It's
think,
very strong. But Paige O'Hara, it's almost like as if, not trying to say that, you know, one doesn't speak better than the other, but it's almost like, you know how you have that high-end New York accent where it's
Well,
like,
it's like
are
in
they
the-
from New York? And they don't sound like they're from New York, but because they're like Aristotle.
Well, it's like in the UK, really.
Yeah.
It's like you could have someone from one side of London,
Yeah,
and then you go to
Yeah.
the other side of London,
Yeah.
and it's
like
a
that.
different
Yeah,
accent,
it's a different accent,
pronunciation,
and
yeah, I don't know how I'd have felt about that,
Mm.
because they're two iconic roles voiced by the same actress, but then look at the 1950s, where you've got Alice and
yeah, Wendy. Yeah.
And I mean, we've commented about Sterling Holloway.
Yeah, and all the voices he
And,
did. Yeah, so it wouldn't have been unusual.
Werner Felton was.
But
in
I'm
every
glad.
film for like
Yeah, I'm
decades.
glad they did find somebody else.
Yeah, I have a few bits about Belle.
Okay.
Just that, because I thought when we go through the characters, I would just hint at some different bits, like with the hidden Mickeys and whatnot, just to give a full character actress package. And you said you got some cast facts as well, so like we can jump around. But basically with Belle, I mentioned a lot of things originally about how the character would have been with the Cinderella style sisters and things. But hidden Mickey wise, she's appeared in Alina of Avalor, House of Mouse, and Sophia the First, as well as Once Upon a Studio, and at the end of Wish. She was also in Hunchback of Notre Dame, Walking Through the Paris Streets, which is doesn't match up.
No,
It's
different
not
times.
Different time. She also, and I'm going to go searching for this.
Okay.
Beauty and the Beast made a animated live action appearance at the 64th Academy Award to present the best animated short.
What?
And I've seen a picture, I just need to find the image, but basically, and again voiced by Paige Miller and Robbie Benson.
Yeah.
They're there and they come up and they're in character and they do it.
Okay.
Which, yeah, for 1992, I think that's
wow,
relevant. And it's just like, for example, Elsa.
Yeah.
Coming on stage with Olaf and doing a little skit and then presenting. It's like best animated short. It's something similar to that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's... Have you got any more about
no.
Belle or
no, if I do, it'll be among the general facts that I've got, but I don't think I do. So the Beast.
The Beast.
Right, so yeah, voiced by Robbie Benson, as you said. He is mainly, stage, voice actor. Again, he's done all of Beast's voice.
Yeah, continues as well.
He's made appearances in The Odd Thing, like he's done an episode of Seinfeld randomly. However, he has got a directorial credits.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
Is this on a show that we both know?
Yeah. So he's directed on Friends, like 8 episodes. Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
It was him that did the pilot.
Oh, really?
He directed the pilot and he appears in it as, I think it's her dad.
Who's dad?
Sabrina's Eric.
Oh, Sabrina the Teenage Witch you're on about. Oh, I thought you were on about Friends.
No.
Oh, right, okay.
It's Eric.
Oh, okay.
But I can't remember. It's been such a long time, but yes.
Yeah, he directed Jessie, which I did watch, but I don't really remember it that well, and Dharma and Greg. They were just a few of the ones, but yeah.
He went through a period of being quite handsome. And he had the Beast hair as well, which I'm almost supporting now.
Yeah, he is. Got that foxy look going at the minute. Yes. Silver fox is,
and those before when he had the long
bright blue eyes.
Well, I have a fact about them.
Oh, okay. So, in terms of who may have played him instead.
So I don't have any of this, and I don't know. Okay. So this is all new to me.
Tim Curry was considered to voice the Beast.
No.
And obviously he does get a voice role in the sequel.
Yes,
he plays
he does.
Lord Forte.
Yes.
And Lawrence Fishburne.
Every time I think of that, all I go is, 'tis the season
to
be
jolly. Ba-la-la.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne, Val Kilmer, and Mandy Patinkin. Oh, I'm saying that right. Were considered also for the Beast. Now, Val Kilmer, yes.
See,
but not Mandy Patinkin.
I could see Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh,
I
I
could
don't
see
know.
it because he's got a voice that doesn't.
It's a distinctive voice,
Yeah.
though, and I'm not sure if that would have
But then-
overshadowed the character. Whereas Val Kilmer's voice is very similar to Robbie Benson's.
I mean,
And he does voice the Prince of Egypt. I know it's not a Disney film,
no.
but that's a DreamWorks. That was one of their first like animated.
Katzenberg.
No, this was before Katzenberg.
Okay.
I think.
I know
It was
know
before.
nothing about DreamWorks.
This film's
so.
brilliant.
Yes.
And Val Kilmer plays Joseph. Is it Joseph? Yes.
I've
No,
never seen
no,
it.
Moses.
Moses.
It's Moses. Yes, Moses, not Joseph. Moses. It's Moses he plays. And his voice is so soft but deep.
Yeah, I think he's got the right cast in the fact that it has got that bit of a...
But we don't know if he can sing. That's the thing. So he was obviously... It might have been that when they considered these high-profile names, apart from Tim Curry, it might have been that before they decided on, let's go down the Broadway road and the musical road. You know, when it was still sort of in...
Yeah, because I know he sings in Something Sweet. Something there that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to duet with me then.
No, sorry.
Okay. Leave me hanging. And you looked at me as if to like, what are you doing?
I know.
He obviously, in the sequel, we hear the song Evermore. Which is from the Broadway version, which I'm sure was going to be in the original.
Well, we'll get to the music facts, but yeah.
So, I think, they probably would have gone more of that.
Yeah. Well, when he sings that part, obviously he's singing in his head.
Yeah.
So that is how he sings, and that is his normal voice.
Yeah.
So it was a case of, right, because that would be as the prince in the head, and that's how he speaks at the end of the film as well. That's his normal voice. Whereas all the other voice recordings, they had sounds of panthers and lions mixed in.
I knew with the raw, where
so that his voice
starve.
was different, completely different.
I know when he shouts, "Go ahead and starve."
Yeah, go ahead and starve.
That's
if she doesn't eat with me, then she doesn't eat at all.
And every single one of his servants listened to him.
Yeah.
Do a feast.
Yeah, very obedient servants, very obedient.
What I like is basically you've got Mrs. Potts, who's very much like, and I'm going to swear, she's very much like, F what he's got to say.
Yeah.
She ain't starving.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
I'm going to swear.
And then you've got Lumiere, who's like, oh, and while you're here, let's do a bit of song and dance. And do that. You've got Cogsworth, who's like, what?
It's a case of, like, they are seeing the prospect here. Like, come on.
Well, it goes back to that selfish thing.
Yeah, we've been waiting, like, 10 years.
It's like, you should
and
know
you've
you're
done
the
nothing. A woman finally walks through the doors. And you're going to get pissed off now.
Come on, what are you, gay? Come on.
Right, so
I have a few things about the Beast.
Okay.
So I'll go through those. So originally the idea of the concept art for the Beast was human bodies with animal heads.
Oh yeah, I saw the baboon one. No.
It merged a bit more with body, and they did one that was based around an insect, one that was based around birds, and one that was based around fish.
Oh,
which, it's Beauty and the Beast.
I know.
Like, I get insects a little bit, but a beast is a mammal.
Yeah.
Full stop. It was Glenn Keane. Sorry, say that again.
Yeah.
Glenn Keane that finalised the design.
Yeah.
Keane was not allowed to see Robbie Benson, and
Oh, that's
Katzenberg
good.
ordered that
That's good.
because at the end he didn't want the prince to look like Robbie
No.
Benson, which is a shame. I will say that, because let's face it, as a human, Beast is not handsome. And the animators basically said, we're not going to give that much thought. Well, they've said afterwards, we didn't give that much thought to a human beast because everyone's going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So we'll just standardise it, which is a shame because if they'd have based it on Robbie Benson,
I think Prince Adam is hot.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to correct you. His name's not Prince Adam.
Okay, well, whatever his name is, I don't care. That long golden hair and those blue eyes.
Don't get me wrong.
I mean, I wouldn't have cared even if it wasn't the Beast. I would just stop them.
You would have gone with that, would you?
Because when she goes, "It is you," I'm like, I don't care if it is or not. Stop him.
Yeah.
He's beautiful.
You see, no. I think I'm
See, I was
spoiled
into
by
the long
Eric.
hair. Oh no.
I think I was spoiled by Eric.
I was into the long hair
yeah.
in the 90s.
So the Beast actually is, according to Howard Ashman, the main character. It's not Belle. So the bit at the beginning, creating a little bit of the backstory with the glass paintings, that is done to put the Beast. It's his backstory, and then the Beast is left in the castle alone and away from civilization, which is why we've just got annoyed about the fact that there's a girl in the castle and he's acting a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
And basically you see his servants bring someone into the house. Yeah, you have the backstory of where that goes, but at this point the Beast is the lead, and throughout the whole film it's his story.
Yeah.
If we count the executive producer's statement, Howard Ashman, to say he is the main character, it means that he is the first male lead in a fairy tale produced by Disney.
Okay.
And he's the first male lead to not save his female counterpart in a Disney fairy tale at the climax. However, he does save her early
I
on
had
in
that
the film.
written down as well.
And I'll wait till we get on to Gaston to the next one. But basically, with the name Prince Adam.
Right, okay. Because wasn't it revealed in something else?
So, at no point during the making of the film or anything was he Prince Adam. He was always the Beast or the Beast
Prince.
as the Prince.
Right, okay.
It was only on future products.
Where they thought, we need to give him a name.
In video games and everything, and then it was named Prince Adam. And it was Paige O'Hara that kind of released that information out into the world, into, oh, Disney doesn't want you to know this, but his name is Prince Adam.
Oh, okay.
So, because she'd got that background information that people had told her his real name's that, and she passed it on. Okay. So, yes, Disney have since gone with the Prince Adam route.
Yeah.
However, up until, and we're talking the mid-90s, he didn't have a name.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when the dolls came in to the Disney store, and when they finally, it is
recognised now on products,
yeah, he is.
Yeah. And the final thing that I have on the Beast, and just solely on the Beast, is some of the statues in the castle.
Yes.
In gargoyle forms are early concept
yes,
art
I did.
of the Beast.
I got that
Stealing
as well.
all your facts.
I know.
I am stealing them all.
Yeah, that was actually my very first one.
And then I've got the Hidden Mickeys.
Okay.
So he's also in House of Mouse.
Yeah.
He's Sophia the First and Once Upon a Studio. Him and Belle also star in the Mickey Mouse short A Perfect Couple, which is the new Mickey Mouse. I say new, it's about 7 years old now.
Oh yeah, the newly drawn.
Yeah. He's one of the Sultan's toys in Aladdin.
Oh, okay.
And in the Aladdin TV series, the genie transforms into the Beast, and with his finger zaps Iago, which basically gives Iago a Belle costume.
Oh, okay.
Which is not on Disney Plus.
I know, I don't know why that's not on. Or the Little Mermaids.
No.
Or Hercules.
Little Mermaid's on.
Is it? No.
Yeah, Belle's.
The new one.
No. Belle's Magical World. Because I've watched it.
Oh, God.
And Timon and Pumbaa's on there.
Yeah, no, not the series.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
put that on as
Oh,
well.
bless you, Stephen.
But yes, Hercules is not on there, Aladdin's not on there, the Hunchback of Notre Dame series is not on there. Trying to think of the others now that they did. Tarzan's not on there.
Mm-hmm.
Is Lilo and Stitch? Lilo and Stitch is on there, isn't it? Stitch, the animated series.
Well, I don't know. I didn't think any of those series were on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Emperor's New Groove's not on there. The Emperor's New School.
Oh, okay. You know what? I just realised that I had a fact about the directors, and I've just found it before we move on.
Yeah.
Ron Clements and John Musker
Yes.
were asked, and they turned it down out because they were exhausted from The Little Mermaid.
Do you know what? It's not that I'm glad because they are good,
Yeah.
but because of the direction this film ended up in, I think any changes.
I know.
I don't know.
It's hard to. We wouldn't have gotten what we have.
And it's such a
But
perfect
then-
concoction.
Would have it been better?
Would it have been? But then, if
It's hard to believe it could be better.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And it's changing one aspect to it.
Yeah.
Like, would we have liked Jodie Benson as Belle?
Yeah, because that might have probably stayed if they had been involved.
She can sing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she can sing.
Oh,
and she
yeah.
can act. She can
Yeah.
perform.
Right. Shall we leave the villains to the end?
Can do if you like.
Yeah? Right. Mrs. Potts, the legend, Angela Lansbury voices.
I mean-
And if you have been living under a rock and have no idea who that is.
So I thought, I'm going to leave you to talk with this now, but I left the Angela Lansbury facts for you. 'cause
Okay.
I believe that she's one of your heroes.
Oh,
shall
yeah.
we say.
Absolutely love Angela Lansbury. So, obviously, Mrs. Price in Bed Knobs. Jessica Fletcher,
Fletcher.
Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
She's the grandma in Anastasia that's looking for her. I mean, that's my grandma. She was in one of our old films, so before she became known for like what we know her as, she was in the original Manchurian Candidate. So
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that story.
yeah,
I have seen.
I've
it,
only
but-
seen the Meryl Streep version.
Oh no, there's a. I think it was done in the 60s or the 50s. One of the two. There's an older
See, she could
version.
have done that one.
There's a brilliant shot. Sorry, off topic.
That's okay.
Brilliant shot, but it starts with it's a complete 360. The camera's in the middle and does a complete 360 around, and the shot starts with like one side, and then as it goes around, the personnel sitting at the table starts. It's kind of they're talking with each other. It moves, and when the shots come back, so like at 0 degrees of the 360, it's a completely different set, and it's the villain's side,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's their
Right.
like chairman meeting kind of thing. It's so good, and I really do not know why that has not been ripped off. Apart from the fact it was probably banned for 20 years in America, but
Yeah.
honestly, that's the key shot. I don't know if they do it in the remake, but in the original,
I don't remember it. But it was a long time ago that I watched it.
it's a perfect shot. And I can't tell you whether it was, if there's any cuts,
Yeah.
or
don't
whether
know.
it is all in one
Yeah.
go. But if it's all in one go,
Then
that
amazing.
is
Especially for that time.
yeah. So sorry, went off topic a little
Yeah.
bit. Bring it back up. I have got facts about Mrs. Potts, but I know you Angela Lansbury.
Yeah. So Manchurian Candidate, I think, was one of her early roles. She's in. She has a tiny, small part in Mary Poppins Returns. She's the balloon lady. Towards the end of the film, she's done loads of voices, and she's been in loads,
With her,
and she's done a lot on the stage.
I mean, she's a Broadway
Yeah.
star.
Is she? I think she became an EGOT because she got an honorary Oscar a few years ago. because you know how they have this luncheon before the Oscars are broadcast,
Yeah.
where they do ones that they don't show on TV, and it's for like a lifetime achievement and honorary ones and things like that. And that's when, cause she'd never gotten one before, albeit I think she had been nominated, but she'd never got one, and it was an honorary Oscar. And I think when she got that, it meant that she had all four. She had the Tony.
Yeah. Oh.
She got the Emmy and she got the Globe. So.
I mean, she is. I remember actually when she passed away.
I was heartbroken.
I got a message from you
Yeah.
to say that you were more sad about Angela Lansbury passing than the Queen.
Yes! I'm sorry, but I was devastated.
And you know what?
I was devastated.
It was...
Because as well, I have written her death down. She died a year after my grandma, which I thought was so freaky.
Yeah, and she's...
Because I'd watched her with my grandma. When I seen her on TV, I always thought of my grandma. When I watch Beauty and the Beast, I always think of my grandma. It all connects.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
I'm not saying my grandma's like Mrs. Potts, but it's just her in general.
Yeah.
The actress.
She continued links with the film afterwards as well, which, I mean, she at the French Pavilion in Epcot.
Okay.
They do a show. I don't recommend going to see it.
Oh, right, okay.
I recommend that you going to see it because it's Angela Lansbury.
Right, okay.
However, yes, moving on.
Okay.
But she did that. She obviously voiced Mrs. Potts for the sequel.
Yes,
not
in
the third, but she did do it for the sequel, and she's continued that link with Disney.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of a. I mean, I don't think there was any rivalry whatsoever, but at the time in the 60s, early 70s, we had Mary Poppins with Julie Andrews, obviously become the bigger thing. We prefer Angela Lansbury as Mrs. Price.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Guess who lost the role for Mrs. Potts?
Yeah, I read this. I'm
Julie
so
Andrews.
glad they didn't go with her.
Do you know what? Princess Diaries, I can understand why.
Yeah.
They thought of her for Mrs. Potts, but Angela Lansbury she's Mrs. Potts. But for us who are like, we prefer that character, why is she not bigger than Mary Poppins? Why is she not as big? Why is she not as focused on? Well, she kind of, you got a little slide dig in right there.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Not that we don't like Julie Andrews.
No, it's not that at all.
Other things with Mrs. Potts. It was Howard Ashman that wanted a British accent.
Okay.
Because she's a tea lady.
Yeah.
So therefore she should have a British accent.
Yeah.
Which is my really bad British.
Yeah, you're British. But I love Angela Lansbury's...
Do you know what? Me and...
Cockney attempt.
What's her name? Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
We've proven that British people can't do...
No.
A British accent.
No, definitely not. It's weird.
Leave it to... Although Angela Lansbury is British.
Yeah, she was born British, but obviously she's lived in the UK and in America most of her life.
Yeah. But yes. With Mrs. Potts, can you name a film where Mrs. Potts as an image, or as a shape, or as a teapot appears in? Another Disney film.
Tarzan.
Name another.
You're going to say Wish.
No.
Oh. I don't know.
No. There's 3 altogether.
Okay.
So, I want any viewers to... Listeners. There's no hidden cameras. I want you to kind of skip ahead, should we say, 15 seconds, if you don't want to know.
Okay.
And then, if you do want to know, an extremely goofy movie... She is Goofy's tea set.
Okay.
And in Meet the Robinsons, she is a topiary in the Robinsons' garden.
Oh.
Which everyone knows the Tarzan tea set thing, but yes, it is. She's in 2 further things.
Wow.
She's also in Hocus Pocus.
Is she?
She is. We watched this last night.
Did you?
So obviously there's a difference between recording and airing the podcast and
yes,
whatnot,
yeah.
but we decorated for Halloween yesterday.
Okay.
And we watched
And you
Hocus
thought,
Pocus.
let's get in the mood.
So in one of the trick-or-treaters are dressed as Mrs.
Yes,
Potts.
they are! That's
Yes.
right! Now you said it, yes,
Yeah.
you're right, yeah.
So, which, yeah, we need to do that film as well.
Yeah.
A little bit of a background. So, one of the things that always used to bug me as a child about Mrs. Potts was Chip.
Right.
Because there is no way, anatomically or scientifically, that a character that looks as old as Mrs. Potts
But she
does.
doesn't look old.
She does. She's got grey hair. She's an elderly lady. She's an elderly lady.
Yeah.
That Chip is what, 5, 6?
Yeah. He's the youngest of 12. He's the youngest of a 12 set,
Well,
yeah.
Traditionally, at this time when the film is set in France, there would be one member of the castle staff that would look after all the children, and it's most likely that not only did she adopt Chip in this way, so this is someone like the
maid.
the maid or someone who was
with Lumiere.
or potentially the master of the house.
Oh, yes.
And the child would stay within the castle grounds rather than the maid or this other person. There would be one member that would look after them. So most likely she adopted Chip and all of the other cups in that cupboard.
Yeah.
Because when she says goodnight, in the cupboard off with you now, Chip.
Yeah.
She says with your brother and sister.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at
And
that
she's
and I was like,
I'm not sleepy.
no wonder Mr. Potts is dead. I'm surprised she isn't. But I always thought at the end of the film that her and Maurice...
Yeah, they had a thing.
too suited.
Yeah. I know.
Yes. And obviously in the Christmas one as well.
Uh-huh.
They're very close.
They are very close.
So yes, but it always bugged me.
The age gap.
Yeah, it wasn't...
It didn't make sense.
No. And you can't even blame the issue with timing within this film.
But then it would have been very stressful being the tea lady of a beast. So maybe she got grey well early.
But that doesn't explain Lumiere, the maid,
I know.
or...
Well, because they were having a good time behind the curtains, that's why. They weren't getting stressed.
They were relieving their stress.
They were.
But then Cogsworth.
Well, he's a bit of a frump, he's a pocket watch, he's
Well,
like...
he's tightly wound.
tightly wound,
And
so...
I really... I mean, when we get onto Cogsworth, I'll go to
Yeah.
that one. But there's a bit there that, again, was Ashman's idea. And I'm for that.
Okay.
So, yes, I'll let you...
Well, I do have one about the song with Angela Lansbury. I put it in my music facts, but
Yeah,
it's fitting
throw it
for
in.
this. So, when she was approached and said, right, we want you to sing this song, apparently initially she said that it shouldn't be her character singing the song. So the directors said, look, could you just sing it for just now?
Yeah.
Just do a demo and we'll have a think if there, who else could sing this. She didn't believe it should have been her character. And it's that one and only recording that is used in the film.
She was tricked. They tricked Angela Lansbury.
I think that when it was then, explained, she was like, right, okay, yeah.
Do you know what's interesting? I've never really thought about it. Is her character the right one to sing it? Do you know what? Actually, yes. Going on what I've just said about looking after the kids, adopting these other children, the fact that she kind of adopts Belle in the sense where she's not going to starve.
Yeah.
And, be nice to him, dear. And
She
then,
wants to see the happy ending, so I think it was right for her.
We've established that all of these characters don't give a shit about the happy
They want to be
ending.
human
They
again!
just want to be human again. I mean, can you imagine if they kept that song in the film? when we're human, it gets like, all right.
Well, yeah, there is an
Ulterior.
extended version.
Yeah, ulterior motive.
Yeah, that was my last one about her.
Yeah, I've got, yeah.
Okay. Lumiere.
Mais oui.
Yeah. So, voiced by Henry Orbach, which we said earlier. He plays Baby's daddy in Dirty Dancing.
Okay.
And, but his biggest role, I think, for modern audiences would be Law and Order. He was on that right up until I think he died. He also had a part in an episode of Murder, She Wrote. And he was also in Universal Soldier, which is a Van Damme film.
Well, at the point of this film, because of Law and Order not being out when this was all...
No, it came out a couple of years later.
He was just a Broadway star.
Yeah.
So again,
with the odd film appearance.
So again, we've got that Broadway influence that when we look back, we're a bit like, oh, and we forget that they have this big background.
Yeah.
You know, it's like here in the UK, we forget Nicholas Parsons is an actor.
Yeah.
And did serious drama and comedies before he became a game show host. And yet he's just known as being a game show host. So...
Yeah.
A few things about Lumiere. He appears as an inanimate candelabra in Wreck-It Ralph 2 in the vanity desk of Belle.
Okay.
And he is the only character to not be kidnapped by Peter Pan in the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers film from Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
Because
okay.
he's at FanCon at the beginning.
Okay. Yes, he is.
He's there, but Mrs. Potts is bootlegged.
Yeah.
Cogsworth, Chip and all them like all appear on the cover of Belle and the, what's it called? The Grumpy Creature or whatever it is. Yeah. So Belle and Beast have obviously been kidnapped. So yes, he's the only one not to be kidnapped.
I love that film.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's brilliant.
I know.
Yeah. That's all I have for Lumiere.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Cogsworth?
Yeah, I have a few for him.
Okay, so voiced by David Ogden Stiers. He was in MASH. And he then goes on to play the villain in Pocahontas. He plays Jumbo in Lilo and Stitch. And he also narrates for a couple of Winnie the Pooh spin-offs as well.
He also is the Archdeacon in Hunchback of Notre Dame. Sanctuary!
Yeah.
And you mentioned Ratcliffe, but he was also a character called Wiggins, which I didn't know the character until I saw an image.
Yeah, it's him that looks after the dog.
Yeah. So he voices him as well, and he is Fenton Q. Harcourt in Atlantis.
Oh, okay.
He didn't audition to play Cogsworth. He auditioned to play Lumiere.
Oh.
Yeah, which I'm glad he
is no, he's definitely Cogsworth. In fact, he kind of looks a bit like him as well.
Yeah.
You know.
My thing about Cogsworth. So he is a clock, as we know. Clocks are slightly wound.
Yeah.
Slightly wound. Because of that, it was Howard Ashman that kind of had the idea that because of the clock, he should be the one in charge.
Yes.
Because
he would be keeping everyone on time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the time, although this isn't factual, it's only speculation. But because Jeffrey Katzenberg at this time introduced a budget and time scale, so before he kind of was introduced with the animation, it was the film got done when it got done. And we knew this because films got pushbacks with Beauty and all them. He basically introduced you need to get this film done by this time.
Okay.
Was it a sly dig? Speculation was
right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And also with Lumiere, Although I don't know if this was Howard Ashman, but it was when Howard and Alan got involved. Lumiere wasn't just warm; he became hot-headed, fiery, passionate.
Right. Okay.
Which is why he's
Yeah.
especially with that maid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know whether that came from those two,
Okay.
or whether it was on the back of the other things that were suggested.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'd get away with that now.
No, definitely
But
not.
I'm glad it's there.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
it's funny, because the maid is the same.
Yeah.
It's not one-sided, it's not creepy old man.
No.
It's that maid when they're human. She
I
comes
know.
around with a feather
With her feather duster.
She gives them a little tickle.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it. I am not going to say it, but she would
It's like, come and help me dust.
She wants a candlestick.
Dust the spare room.
That's what she wants. Oh la la. That's all I have for Cogsworth.
Okay. Maurice, I've got the voice, Rex Everhart. Again, he was in Law and Order, Family Business, The Guiding Light, and Superman. The film Superman.
Yeah. I didn't get anything on him. I just stuck to the core.
Okay. And then we've got LeFou and Gaston. So we'll say...
Well, I've got a little one about LeFou.
Yeah, okay. LeFou is voiced by Jess Corty. He is Mr. Munches in Zootopia. And he does a lot with video games.
Yes, he's a voice.
Yeah. And he played a social worker in Desperate Housewives.
He was one of the few actors, it's a little bit more common now, but obviously talking over 30 years ago at this point, who voiced the character not only in English but the Latin American
Oh, okay.
versions as well.
Yeah.
Which has happened in the past. I've got a feeling, did it happen in Robin Hood?
Well, remember we said in Rescuers, the boy who was Norwegian, he did the voice. Yeah.
Obviously now Moana.
Yeah.
It's more common.
Yes, a lot more common. Yeah.
The original concept, which was before Howard Ashman and Alan Menken got involved, would be that LeFou was based on Woody Allen, and the studios were hoping to cast him.
I mean, that was weird.
As soon as they came on board,
scrapped it. Thank God.
Scrapped. Also, my other thing with LeFou, and I say this as a gay man, he's not gay.
No.
The way that he looks at those three bimbos, whilst one of them is pouring water from that well thing with her boobs.
Yeah.
He is not.
No.
He's not gay. Think it was also a mistake in the remake. All up for diversity, of course.
Yeah.
But I do think that was a mistake.
I think it was forced in the remake. It just doesn't...
It didn't...
Because it wouldn't have been that obvious in reality at that time.
And also...
It would have been more subtle.
Gaston is this big hunter. He's strong, he's powerful.
Yeah.
LeFou isn't.
No.
He, of course, is going to be hanging around with this
because it makes him look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, in prison, the first rule of prison... Not that I know, but the first rule of prison is...
Have you got a dirty little secret, Stephen?
Find the biggest and be the bitch.
Yeah.
It's... I don't get the gay vibe, and I actually almost feel... I'm not offended, but I feel a little bit like the only reason why a man can be that admired with another man is because they're gay. No.
Yeah.
Men can respect men.
Yeah.
Like...
Without being sexually attracted, yeah.
Let's, look at film stars.
Yeah.
We have people who respect multiple different... Are they gay?
Yeah.
I
know.
Does everyone fancy...
Brad Pitt?
Well, yeah, actually.
Okay, that was a bad example.
Vin Diesel.
Okay.
Steve McQueen.
Yeah. George Clooney.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm against that idea.
Okay.
And if they were going to do that idea, then they should have done it properly.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of it being forced.
Yeah, because there's nothing in that first original film that suggests...
No. Le Fou in French means the idiot, the fool, or the insane, depending on how it's used.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree.
yes.
I do have a bit of a memory with LeFou, and that was at the Disney store. Do you remember when we had to do quizzes?
Yes.
It was the question, what was Gaston's sidekick called?
Okay.
And could I remember that?
Oh, you must have kicked yourself when you found out the answer.
Really annoyed me, and
Yeah.
I actually came out and after, because we're in that little room with the
Yeah,
computer, we had to fill it in, and I came out and I was like, I didn't get this one right. And it was, because I knew you'd got it right, because you'd got quite far, it was you who said, it's the phone.
Yeah.
No, it annoyed me that I forgot. Because, do you know what the thing is I remember it, because you had to type the name.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if the name had been choices...
Yeah, you would have.
And I think I spelt it something like Nefu or
Oh.
Nufu or something. I just couldn't get it.
Right, the last one. I think we've saved the best till last, really.
No one stays till the end, I guess.
Yes, Gaston, voiced by Richard White. Again, he's done all of Gaston's voice work.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an opera singer.
Mm. Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, his voice is just brilliant casting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to compare it to the remake, but I actually think that was perfect casting.
Oh, yeah. Luke Evans was perfect as
Yes.
Gaston.
And actually, I think it's a character that they could have easily have got wrong. But because of the singing voice, and I didn't know he was an opera singer, but it makes sense.
Mm.
Because of that, and because we know Luke Evans can sing, that
Mm-hmm.
made that character.
Yeah.
And although I don't know much about Richard White, it doesn't matter because he is that role.
Yeah.
For me, filling in for that role is as thingy as like who was going to play Belle.
Yeah. Well, Rupert Everett
Yes, I
auditioned
did have that.
for the role and was told by the directors he didn't sound arrogant enough. Which is ironic because he goes on to play Prince Charming in Shrek 2
Yes.
and he couldn't be any more arrogant. And also, Donny Osmond was considered and he goes on to play the Beast on Broadway. And also Li Shan, his singing voice in Mulan.
And Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I mean by it's the singing.
Yeah, because, like, okay, I know Patrick Swayze wrote that song for Dirty Dancing, but he's not a singer.
No, and also it's the power of the voice of the actor playing the powerful character in a Broadway musical needs to have that strong, deep.
Yeah.
It needs to be.
And Donny
that.
Osmond's not.
No, and it just wouldn't.
The Beast I can see
Yeah.
on the stage,
Yeah.
because he has a really good voice.
But Gaston needs to be. It needs to be that person.
Yeah.
And perfect casting.
Yes.
Perfect. And I go back to that where I don't know anything about Richard White, to be honest with you, and yet it's perfect casting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they could, if they'd have done anyone else, I don't think it would have worked. I've got a few little facts about Gaston
Okay.
himself. Hidden Mickeys, he appears in Lego Disney Princess, and he's voiced again by Richard White. House of Mouse, voiced again, and Once Upon a Studio, where the Cheshire Cat appears.
Yes, in the mirror, yeah.
Yes. He is the first male Disney villain in a princess film.
Oh,
Which...
didn't think of that.
No.
God.
Because he's not the first male villain.
No. But in a princess film,
But
yeah.
in a princess film.
Though they had only done 5, but yeah.
Yeah, but as a like now at this point, looking back, it's like, at the end. So basically, Gaston's meant to have a sword,
Okay.
and he's meant to kill the beast with the sword, not the little knife.
Right.
I say little knife; it's still
It's like a dagger.
it's a dagger.
Yeah.
The ending of the film is severely edited. Doesn't look it. It must have reanimated bits.
Okay.
But basically it was more gruesome.
Okay. Oh.
So the Beast was going to kill
Gaston.
in a Scar and Mufasa kind of way.
Oh, right. Okay.
Where it would have been visual but left to the audience to decide.
Okay.
And Gaston, when he gets up and says, "Belle is mine,"
Uh-huh.
that's redubbed. The animation and the actual words was "time to die." And even when you watch it now, the voice doesn't match up, which is not the first time in the film that the voice doesn't match up.
Okay.
So there must have been quite a bit of work. It's also the first time that a Disney villain and a hero share a physical feature. And in this case, it's those blue eyes.
Yes.
And it's because way back at the beginning of this podcast talked about all the different versions and things like that. And it's in this one, the Beast and Gaston are opposites,
Yeah.
but the same.
Yes.
And we know that now, that the Beast is ugly on the outside but beautiful on the inside.
Yes.
Whereas Gaston is beautiful on the outside and ugly on the inside.
Well, it's just like, which I wrote down, the Beast is, wears blue. And Belle wears blue. And that was
Yes.
specifically done.
And
Gaston is red.
Yeah, to show that
Beast
they match.
wears a red cloak. Well, it's red in the cloak. It's purple on the outside,
Yeah.
but red on the inside. Then that comes off, and it's like,
So talking about costumes.
okay.
So, the three buxom blondes, shall we call them?
Oh, yes.
At one point in the movie, one of them has Jasmine's hairstyle.
Yes.
Another one has meant to be Belle's hairstyle, but because of changes and things, it resembles Vanessa's in The Little Mermaid.
Uh-huh.
And the last one has Ariel's.
Okay.
So all from similar
Yeah.
era. At the end of Gaston, they all have Jasmine's hairstyle,
Uh-huh.
because basically it was just animation, just drawing three identical.
Yeah.
However, during the whole time that they're shown,
Uh-huh.
their hairstyles change and swap between them.
Okay.
Also, the dress colours that each are wearing are later worn by Belle within the film. So she wore a green coloured dress in the scenes featured her being supplied with the library.
Yeah.
She wore the pink and red dress
In the snow.
in the snow, and then we have the yellow.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
we've got a lot more facts, including all of the songs, which is a major part of the film. We've got some. We've got our opinions.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
the most
we've
important part.
Yes. So yes, Bob and others. Join us next week for part 2
Of Beauty and the Beast.
of Beauty and the Beast.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.